Hello, and welcome to Scott's Odyssey. Today we are visiting what is heralded as the oldest surviving structure known to have been built by the Pennsylvania Railroad. And that can't possibly be true, can it? See you in a minute.
Welcome back. If you've watched my videos before, thank you for your patronage. And if you're new to Scott's Odyssey, welcome aboard. So, as many of the rail fans have already guessed, and many of you probably realize from the thumbnail, we're at the Lewistown Station, claimed to be the oldest surviving structure known to have been built by the Pennsylvania Railroad, which is a great title, but also a potentially ambiguous statement. It brings about images of a railroad station that has been around longer than any of the other rail structures you might find in these parts of Pennsylvania. But that cannot possibly be the truth, right? So let's do a rundown of the facts to remove any ambiguity. The Lewistown Station was built by the Pennsylvania Railroad. Well, yes. The Lewistown Station was built by the Pennsylvania Railroad starting in 1849, and it was completed around 1853. Most websites and local historians will tell you it was completed and opened in 1849, but that's not accurate according to the actual historical record. And to put a finer point on it, the site was not a rail station in the conventional terms we use today, nor as it appears today. Lewistown Station, from its partial completion in 1850 all the way up until 1868, was not exactly a pedestrian station, but rather a freight warehouse. In 1868, the location received a major renovation, each bay measuring 8 feet 6 inches by 15 feet. The total length of the building was approximately 126 feet long and 40.5 feet wide. It's not known if the signal tower was part of the original 1849 build of the warehouse, but sometime before 1876, the tower was there because in 1876, block stations and block signals were in place between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Now, is it the oldest surviving structure owned by the Pennsylvania Railroad? Well, yes, kinda. You see, the trick in the words here is surviving. Are there older pieces of PRR structures in existence? Definitely. But again, the key word here is surviving. This word is often used as a white lie, and in this instance, the white lie is not if it is a surviving object of the PRR, but rather something that is still in use. In which case, citing the still in use clause of the word surviving, yes, this is the oldest still in use structure of the original Pennsylvania Railroad. That does not mean it was the oldest railroad structure, nor the oldest still in operation. Those titles are held in mainly Gallitzin with the Allegheny Portage Railroad and Stroudsburg with the Stroudsburg Railroad. Just another confirmation to look a little deeper and don't always believe the hype of historic sites when they make certain claims. All of that information does not discredit the importance of this location. After all, to be an old station is grand, but to be the oldest one still in use and created by the PRR, that's extremely impressive. Especially after how the PRR empire ultimately collapsed in on itself and clearly showed an inability of the public and private institutions to provide stable and adequate rail service for a major region of the nation in an adverse business environment. Just like socialism and public regulations in our modern day society. In 1898, the addition of a 24-foot by 20.5-foot baggage building was placed northeast of the passenger station. It wasn't until 1902 that an actual passenger shelter was built on the eastbound platform, and in 1903, a pedestrian tunnel was constructed that went under the tracks. In 1904, a new 2-story brick tower was constructed 700 feet east of the station. The reason for this was to transfer the block station due to a new crossover and signal layout for this station along with a new mechanical interlocking and signal machine with more levers. Or stated more simply, it was a lot easier and cost-effective to make a new building with the new controls than to retrofit the existing building. Now, the rest of the history talks about the moving of towers and controls all over this location, and eventually, at least partially, the tower at this station came back into use around 1928. After World War II and into the 1950s, railroad use for passengers dropped by over 80%, and unfortunately, the PRR was not permitted to omit passenger rail service, which ended up costing them a lot of financial loss, especially because of the amount of safety regulations that came to pass during this time. These changes also directly affected the Lewistown Junction. In late 1954, the tower on top of the station was actually taken down. Most of the older portion of the original station was removed, and the remaining portion was redesignated for much smaller package freight storage. The building was retrofitted with insulating fake brick siding, and the bay was removed. This structure and site became the property of the Penn Central Transportation Company on January 31st of 1968 at the end of the PRR empire. In 1970, Penn Central went bankrupt and ended most of its operations in 1971. The federally established National Railway Passenger Corporation, aka Amtrak, picked up all assets left behind by the Penn Central downsize, and in 1976, Penn Central went fully bankrupt. 2 weeks after the 1976 bankruptcy, Consolidated Rail Corporation, aka Conrail, acquired all remaining assets of Penn Central.
Neither Amtrak nor Conrail wanted ownership of the station, but Amtrak maintained a need for a station accessible to offloading people. Lewistown Station remained open as a staffed station that could sell tickets for Amtrak until 1977, at which point it closed its doors to ticket selling and became only a drop-off point for pedestrians traveling from other locations. It was not until 1985 when the Pennsylvania Railroad Technical and Historical Society purchased the abandoned Lewistown Station. Much of the current building, including the tower that was put back on the top of the station, were cosmetic restoration by the Pennsylvania Railroad Technical and Historical Society, bringing back to life a hard-working piece of history. The stated main purpose of the society is in order to use this site as a research center and an archival site. Although the building is now owned by them, Amtrak still provides a location as a waiting room for its passengers. If you liked this video about the Lewistown Station, check out this video over here. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.